Welcome back. This is Excel Module 2, Video 3, and we left off by highlighting cells in non-adjacent ranges. So the first section, it asks you to highlight D6 all the way over to E9. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And then in order to highlight another section of cells that are not near the current section, you have to hold down Control on your keyboard, and we're going to highlight D13 to E27. So now we have two sections of cells highlighted that are not near each other, and we're going to add some conditional formatting to these cells. So what I want to see here is I want it to highlight in red negative numbers. Basically, numbers that show a decrease from the previous year would be a negative number. So I want it to highlight any number that's less than 0 is how I'm going to do that conditional formatting. So I'm going to click on my conditional formatting button. And I'm going to go to Highlight Cell Rules, and I want to highlight cells that are less than something. And you can tell it whatever number you want to be less than. In my case, I'm going to type in cells that are less than 0 in the first box. And then in the second box, it allows you to determine how you want the formatting of those cells to be. Since they're a negative number, I prefer them to be light red fill color with dark red text. But if you click the drop-down arrow, you can see some other options that you have. Yellow, green, or you can add a custom format of your choice and set it up with whatever colors you want it to be. Once you have that, go ahead and say OK, and you will see that it will highlight in red any of the negative numbers in the two sections that we have highlighted. So not a ton in the top, in fact, none at the top section, but a few in the bottom. So now you can see how easily adding conditional format can have you be able to recognize trends and patterns in numbers a little bit easier by just adding some specific formats to what you're looking for. I could have done that with the top values or numbers that are greater than a certain data point that I set. So you can kind of play around with conditional formatting. Let's scroll down to the last chart here, the monthly sales by category, and we are going to do some totaling. So you can see there's a total row and a total column here. So let's go ahead and use our AutoSum function and total up each of the months. So you should only have to use AutoSum once, and then you should be able to use your fill handle to drag to the right or to the left. So I'm just going to drag over and copy those formulas. It's going to be 0 in that last one for now, but that's okay, because once I get some totals in column O, then the 0 will populate with a total. So I'm going to go ahead and do sum again, and I'm going to sum up each row of information. So I just have to double check and make sure, is it really C31 through N31 that I want to total up? That looks right. I can see that the dancing ants are highlighting around that range of cells. Everything looks good. So I can go ahead and hit enter, and then I can use my fill handle to drag down and copy that as well. So now we have some totals. And now we're going to add some special formatting as well to our monthly sales data table. So in the range from C31 to N44, so here's C31 way over here and all the way over to N44. So I'm going to highlight all the way down to N44 and let go. So basically it's all of the data, but not the totals is kind of what we're highlighting for right now. And we want to format the sales data in comma style with no decimal places. So that's a specific number format that we can do. I'm going to go ahead and hit the comma style button. It is right next to the percent. And again, you have the increase and decrease decimal place button right next to it. So I want to decrease it to 0 decimal places. So you just click that decrease button twice, and it will remove the 2 decimal places that popped in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to format the range A30 through O30. Oh, I forgot. I skipped a step. I'm so sorry. In the non-adjacent cell range, C45 to N45. So let's go ahead and do C45 to N45. So that's right here. See, it's the totals row, basically, is what we want to highlight. And then the other section is O31 to O45. So that's the other totals row. So remember to highlight boxes that are not next to each other, you hold down Control to highlight that second section. So highlight the first set of cells that it tells you, then hold down Control on your keyboard, then highlight the second set of cells that it tells you to highlight. That's how you can highlight cells that are not next to each other. We are going to make that accounting style with no decimal places. So that adds the currency, basically, adds the $ with no decimal places. So I'm going to remove the decimal places using the decrease decimal button. The next thing that it asks us to do is to form out cell A29 with the title cell style. So I'm going to go to A29 and go to cell styles. This is like what we did up above, same thing, and we're going to add the title cell style, and then we're going to format A30 to O30 with a 60% accent 6 cell style. So A30 to O30, basically it's just this top row of months and total is what we're looking at there. 60% accent 6, 60% accent 6 cell style. And then it asks us to format A31 to A45. So A31 to A45 is this section right here with 60% accent 3 cell style. So I'm going to do accent 3, 60%, and there's that section right there. Then it's asking us to format B31 to B45. So B31 to B45 would be this range of cells there in column B, and it asks us to format that with a 40% accent 3 cell style. So 40% accent 3, so just a little bit lighter gray for that one. And then lastly, it's asking us to format B45 through O45 using the totals cell style. So B45 is right here, all the way over to the right till we get to O45 and then go to cell styles, and we're just going to add that total cell style to the totals row. We're not going to use the total cell style for column O yet. We're going to instead just add a left border to column O to kind of separate that total row from the rest. So I'm going to highlight column O. Not all of column O, I apologize, just O30 to O45, and then I'm going to use my borders button for this one and just apply a left border to that. So that adds, it doesn't show up right this second because right now it's showing me where my print would cut off. If I were to print this, that's where the second page would pop in. But if you were to go to like File, Print, and look at it in that view, you would be able to see the left border that I just applied to that section. Now we're going to merge and center cells together. So merging and centering is a really cool tool that allows you to take multiple cells and merge them into one big cell. So it basically removes the lines of each individual box and makes them into one big box, one big cell, and centers the data within that cell. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight A31 through A35, the decorative box and then the blank boxes below decorative. And we're going to merge and center all of those individual boxes into one large box. So first things you have to do is highlight the boxes that you want to merge together, and then you can click your Merge and Center button, which is on the Home tab right here. So now you can see what happens. It removed each individual box, and now I just have one large box. Now you can format this with alignment however you want. The book is going to ask us to middle align it, so the word decorative floats in the middle of the box. The way that you middle align it, it needs to be center aligned. So if you look at your alignment buttons here in the middle on the Home tab, you can see already that it's center aligned. Right above center align is middle align. So you have a few more options in Excel with alignment. And then another thing that it wants us to do is it wants us to rotate the text so it's flipped over 90 degrees on its side. So it's basically like vertical text. So the way that you can do that, there's a couple of different ways. And if you end up finding a different way to do this, that's fine. There's always like 15 ways to do the same thing, right? So if you just right click on the box and go to Format Cells and then click on the Alignment tab, you can see over to the right, there's a text alignment section, and you can just grab the red square and just drag it up and it will rotate. It kind of gives you a live preview of what it would look like. It kind of flips the text up 90 degrees and then say okay, and you can kind of see there what that does to the text. So it's asking us to do the same thing for living and utility. Those same 3 steps that I just did for decorative, I'm going to do the same thing. So first I'm going to merge and center by highlighting the cells that I want to merge together. So A36 through A40 is what you're going to highlight. And then you're going to click your Merge and Center button. After that, I'm going to middle align it by clicking the Middle Align button. And then I'm going to flip it by right-clicking and going to Format Cells. In the Alignment tab, I'm going to drag the red square up 90 degrees to flip it on its side. And then I'm going to do the last lastly with utilities. Make sure that you don't merge the total row in with your utilities. Leave that out. And then I'm also going to flip it on its side 90 degrees. The book also asks us to resize column A. It doesn't need to be that big. As you can tell, there's a lot of space in there. So right now, column A is set at a width of 23, and it wants us to resize it down to 16. So again, to resize columns, you just put your cursor right on the line. Remember, it has to be up in the titles by the letters. It can't be down here in the white space. It has to be up here at the top. You put it right on the line till it turns to a thick black double-headed arrow, and then you can just click and drag either way. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to drag to the left and make it 16. Oh, it's so hard to get it right on. There we go. So that saves us just a little bit of space. The next thing that we're going to do is it says add a thick, oh wait, I don't want to. We merged and centered that. Reduce the width of column A to 16. Okay, we did all that. Perfect. Now we need to add thick outside borders around non-adjacent ranges. So we're going to be able to do this all together with one click, as long as we highlight everything that we want to add the thick outside border to. So the first set of cells that we're going to add the thick outside border to is going to be A31 through O35. So I'm going to go to A31 to O35. So I'm going to go all the way over to O35, and I'm going to add a thick, you know what, we're going to have to do this separate. Let's go ahead and add a thick outside border to that range. So I'm going to say outside border, thick. Just go down to that. Perfect. And you can see how it adds that thick outside border. Then we're going to go to A36 all the way over to O40. Do the same thing. Add a thick outside border. Then we're going to do A41 all the way over to O44 and do the same thing, thick outside border. So you can see how it separates each category a little bit more. It just makes it a little bit more visually appealing when you separate each separate category. Anything that you can do like that to kind of break up the numbers helps when you're looking at a ton of numbers. Sometimes they all kind of run together, and that makes it much easier. Okay. Do the following to highlight the top selling product in this report. So first we need to highlight O31 to O44. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight O31 to O44, just basically just my total column. And I want to use conditional formatting to highlight the top 3 selling products with dark green text and a light green fill. So let's do that conditional format. I'm going to go ahead and go to conditional formatting. I'm going to say top bottom rules because I want the top 3. Notice that top 3 isn't a choice, but let's go ahead and go at top 10. And I can format the number right here to 3 instead of 10. And I can change the way that it is displayed. So I can change it to green instead of red and then say OK. And now you can see the top 3 sellers are highlighted in green. So it kind of draws your attention to those. Now we're going to go to cell O29 right above here. And I want you to enter the text top, just type it, top 3 sellers. We're going to make like a legend, kind of like, or an answer key, so we kind of know what this represents. And then click off and click back on to select O. You don't want your cursor in O, you just want the outside line in O. And then I want you to go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and go to text that contains. And then text that contains top 3 sellers, we want it to be formatted the same, green fill with dark green text, to match down below the numbers that we highlighted with that same formatting. So now people know when they're looking at this table, those numbers are the top 3 sellers. It's almost like kind of like an answer key to help people understand the data. Now we want to change the theme of the workbook to WISP. So themes are under page layout. And then you go to themes and change it to WISP. They should be in alphabetical order, so you should be able to find it. And you're going to see that's going to change up your fonts and your colors a little bit to match the theme. That is okay, but just know now when you're looking for specific colors, the specific colors that it's telling you to access, like for example, under cell styles, are going to be matching the new theme of colors. So just an FYI with that. I think this is a good spot to stop. I'm going to have to make a 4th video for this one. The last part is all about how to print your worksheet and add headers and footers and things like that. So that's what we'll cover in video number 4.